Good to see y'all.
Good to
Everybody
see you
here?
too.
Yes, great to be here.
Yes, this is so dope. This meeting's being live streamed. Got it. Thank you for the message. That is awesome. It is so good to see everybody. Welcome to Expanding Awakening, part of the Conscious Awakening Network series. We're just expanding the hell out of it today, guys. There are so many energies going on. There are so many amazing things that we're feeling right now, and it is palpable, and so much in the sense that there was actually a scheduled guest this evening that, due to the miracle of synchronicities, it's just how this beautiful stuff works, under no hard feelings, needed to request a reschedule, so inevitably we trust the divine timing of such things. I then get a message, a text, actually, from this young lady to my right, who you, Conscious Awakening Network, will recognize as my guest last week. Yes, this is how the universe is moving now. And she texted, said, hey, I need a weekend. Spirit said to call you. Said, well, shit, we got you a weekend, so come out. And so just scooped her up at the airport this morning. So she decided to join us this week as well, 1 week later, but in person here. And we have some amazing accompanying guests, which I'm super excited to introduce y'all to. We have, of course, Meghan Kittredge. Thank you so much. With that hair, like, we're not even talking about the hair and the glow, and good Lord. Crushing.
Yes, thank you so much. It's one of my most like creative expressions and like really reflective of my spiritual like wherever I'm at. So I appreciate you acknowledging it.
I use these things as like, if their time travel does exist, then there's a certain version of you that's like, nope, she still has the curly hair. We'll come back in a minute. And then comes
I
up,
know.
sees you with this hair, and they're like, yes, now's the time. I think this with anything that I change around the house or the land, if the couch, if we move or rearrange furniture, I'm like, this is the code for the time travelers that come back to say, okay, now it's time. Like, now it's dopeness. So maybe
Absolutely. I do that with my hair. You absolutely nailed it. That's exactly what I'm doing.
it. So see, it's all
Yeah.
around, just oozing from everywhere. Speaking of intuitives, Chrystopher The Astromedium, it's so good to see you. If you would introduce yourself, who you've also been on here. So we're just gracing all these beings in new light here. And if you'd introduce yourself and your light beam over there to your right, I believe, unless your video is mirrored.
It is to my right. Yes.
Okay.
This is my right-hand woman. So, I'm Christopher. Some people know me as the Astromedium. So happy to be here. Thank you, and I'm honored. This is Jen Fields, and I'll have her introduce herself as well.
Hi, I'm Jen Fields. I'm an Akashic channel and an author, and I'm really excited to be here with you guys today. Just kind of a fluke that I ended up coming to see Chrystopher today. So
Yeah, and I had to have her on because she has a new book that just came out that I want to talk about, which I'm in this book. Okay. So, and it is it's already charting and they haven't even begun advertising. So it's really an incredible work of art, and I definitely want to share that. And I'm a psychic medium and astrologer and healer and all that too.
Hell yeah. Well, as promised, I'm so excited all y'all are here. So as promised, Meghan Kittredge was the first person that I invited here to fill in for us on this spot. And I'm so grateful that you said, yeah, 1 day's notice. I'm here for 2 hours late at night to hang out with y'all. Absolutely. So as promised, young lady, I would like for you to siggity set the tone for us, if you will. What has been on your mind lately? What are you feeling? What are you intuitively guided just to spit out your mouth to say, let's talk about this, please?
I'm noticing a lot of questions, at least within the people that I've been working with recently. It seems like there's kind of a major shift happening between masculine and feminine energies. And I'm noticing just that there's a lot of questions coming forward about it. There's just like so much in the air, transmuting and healing on both ends. I'm just so curious what everyone else's experience has been, or if this is just like totally a projection of my own. Whatever. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That would be a great starting point.
Perfect. Then from there, I would actually like to kick it over to my right. Please.
Yeah.
oh yes, yeah. So I guess to piggyback on that, that is my personal space that I am really learning how to use a microphone on a podcast. It's interesting because the masculine and feminine energetics have come through, through all of these years that I've been doing this work as well. And I think what's interesting right now and what the shift has been is that I think a lot of us have noticed that the feminine primarily, and I'm speaking, we all have masculine and feminine, right? But the feminine, meaning the females on the planet, have primarily been really leading a lot of this awakening, right? A lot of us are just really like oozing into this like channel and just activating all of these pieces and really digging into embodiment. And what I am seeing happening, because it's happening with my clients who are in relationships, right, is that then the masculine is getting super activated. So even if they weren't wanting to be activated, it's like, hey, hey, inner child trauma, hey, sabotage tactics, hey, inner rebel, right? So it's all these pieces coming up. And it's kind of like, you know, coming home to roost in a sense, right? It's like it's time. So I do think that there is a lot of resistance on the planet. And I think that we're feeling so many layers, right? Like
Mhm.
through so many veils, so many dimensions at this point. And, you know, astrology, which this is Chris's realm, not really mine, but I know astrology a little bit. And I know like where we're at right now too. I'm just like, wow, where's my popcorn? Because it is real. And I am also experiencing it. So I totally feel that. I'd love to popcorn it over to Chris now to talk about what's going on in that.
Well, yeah, I love the starting off with the masculine and feminine energy because it is showing up in male female relationships and in males and females, but it's also showing up in people like myself who are non binary, who are gender fluid. It's embodying, like, you have a lot of feminine energies stepping into their feminine power, but they
Yes.
actually are healing their masculine energy as well. I mean, and so even in myself, like, I used to suppress my feminine energy out of shame, and then I called it back in. But then there was this neutralizing of this powerful man within me, whatever that was, or powerful masculine. So there is a rebalancing happening, and it's interesting because there's also for us star seeds and people who are the black sheep of the family, many light workers and shadow workers, we're also trying to integrate the fact that our parents are not our parents, and that the relationship with that male and that female, or lack thereof, and like, I have a lot of pain in the past few months on my left side because I'm dealing with a lot of mother wounds, and what it means to not have a physical mother in this lifetime in the way that I thought I did, and what that means about being my own parent and having my own being. Home is where the heart is, but you the inner child still wants its mommy and its daddy. There's something very primal and human that we're transcending right now too. We're transcending a lot of primal, unevolved energies, reptilian brain energies. Yep, I said the R word. And there's a big focus right now on detoxifying the body. And so it's not just about food, it's not just about changing your diet. Major detoxing is already happening. So if you're being called to detox your system of parasites, especially, you'll see this really getting popular right now, because as above, so below. And these parasites are extraterrestrials, truly, and they are using your body as a host, just as there might be some that are using our moon as a host. We don't have to go there, but
We can go there. We can go
Or
there.
we
oh, okay,
could.
can we go
Or
there?
we can
Okay.
go there.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
we could
isn't
definitely
Gaia
go there.
Network. Okay, all right.
We'll do it.
Well, I think it's important to talk about that because there is a dark feminine program happening that's trying to heal itself as well. And it has a lot to do with the moon. And it's this overly feminized energy as well. It's showing up definitely in the gay culture, if I can speak from that perspective. And because one thing I can definitely say at my retreats is men are coming, heterosexual men are coming. I I have never worked with a homosexual male in all the years that I've done this work. So there's something really trying to recalibrate right now on many levels. It's the more multifaceted we get, the more complex the healing process gets, but it's really harmonizing that because we are calling these males to step up, and but we've got to really move through the imbalance now that the females hold all the power. Like, it's fun to say that, and I love saying it. I do. I'm like, pussy power. I love it. It is going to lead us into another duality, fractured, fractalized program, and it's just another loop, but mirrored back in another way. So I think that's showing up in all of us as well.
Yes.
I'm absolutely obsessed with everything that you just said, and
And let's talk about it.
I'm just like, I can't even contain myself because I don't even know where to start. But I guess I'll start where you just ended. talking about, this is something that I feel like I don't hear a lot of divine feminines talking about, the imbalance of feminine power over the masculine. And that I feel like is a really important conversation for, at least I'll speak for myself, for me to have, as there's just been so much evolution that's happened for women. I mean, just in the last 10 years, I know there's definitely an absolutely long way to go. But for those of us that are, you know, awakening or have awakened and have, like, I guess, not only like the mental capacity, but the emotional availability to consider that there is a sense of imbalance that is happening and the divine masculine is feeling disempowered. And I know for me personally, it's almost like if I were to call forward the energy to hold space for that divine masculine coming forward, it's like there's still those wounds that are getting triggered in me from previously unhealed divine masculine. So there's just like this incredible amount of energetic work that's happening, that feels very dual in nature as well. And so I would just love to hear what you guys think about that. I see lots of heads
Well,
nodding.
this
Yeah,
is
just
the
to,
age of Aquarius, and Pisces definitely the two fish. There's some duality there, but as we move into the age of Aquarius, Aquarius is the pansexual and the gender fluid. The it doesn't fit into a box, so it really is calling us on all levels. I mean, just as many people are saying 5D, unity consciousness, singularity, whatever it is you want to call it, that we're moving toward as we're spiraling closer to that galactic center and ascending, which is just expanding more of who we are and into more of that God self. There is what's calling forth a unifying and a harmonizing of these two energies, and also empowering the divine feminine in these males who have been so programmed, myself included as a male, although I am non-binary. In this body and was being raised male, how confusing that was. And it's definitely showing up right now in the world of relationships, especially like karmic relationships, soulmate relationships, twin flame relationships. So
Dun,
it
dun,
is,
dun.
yeah. And because you hear everyone talking about twin flames right now. And I have
Yeah.
people who come and do readings with me, and they're like, was he a twin flame? Was he a twin flame? And I'm like, that's not a goal. Okay. So, and I know I do want to mention her book at some point, but it is
yeah.
about that. It's called The Melody of Fire, and I want her to talk about it because I'm in it. But also, it is incredible. Oh my gosh, it's like, what did I say on the back of it? I actually have I did my own review of this book, and here's
Oh,
what it
nice.
says. This insatiable book is a captivating blend of A Star is Born meets 50 Shades of Grey, totally, meets Ghost, except the medium in this story is no Whoopi Goldberg, but he'll do. There is so much magic and let's call it eye porn in this book that really activates from root to crown everything. But just like this is what's happening on the planet right now, is souls are meeting each other in a male and a female body. This is not a goal. If it happens, it's organic and it's supposed to be this way. It can also be totally terrifying and like earth shattering. And this is an example. I mean, isn't it crazy? She starts with the masculine and feminine, and here they are on the book. Okay. So because this is a really important conversation that we have to have, because there are many people experiencing this. And we don't have to go too deeply into it, but she is also a medium and talks to him in spirit all the time. And we have uncovered and realized that she's not talking to an entity the way I talk to your grandmother. He is her, which is hard for
Mhm.
her.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, at
So
times,
if you
yeah.
want to say anything about this, please do, because I mean, this is where this is going, is this unifying, and how it's on a soul level and it's showing up in one body, like right here, because I consider myself a male and a female. Actually, non-binary is not correct. I can't use the term two spirit, but something similar to that. But then it can also show up in two bodies as one soul.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
and the journey of the book too is really about that duality, that dichotomy of the masculine and the feminine. And through my own spiritual awakening and my spiritual awakening with my partner, we really didn't start coming to a place of expansion until we were able to start playing with gender roles and with the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and the weaving of that and in and out of those roles and into a place of neutrality where either one of us could embody either one of those roles. That's really when the spiritual growth, took off. And even now he is in spirit now, but so that is within me and inside of me, and it is contained within me, but there is still expansion and growth and boundaries that are being pushed up against in that way. It's just in a different reception on my end. It feels more like me instead of outside of me, and I'm able to experience it in a different way, and we're able to grow together, but also myself, because it is all internal, in a whole new way, pass through new boundaries.
To that, what was the largest amount of growth that you experienced with this? It was a little bit unforeseen, maybe something that challenged you in a way and gave you a gift of awareness that you weren't predicting, but it was inevitably the outcome of the journey of the book.
So we had a telepathic communication when he was in the physical, and that was really what dropped the blindfold for both of us, that this connection was something much deeper than any relationship that we had prior. When he crossed over, I lost that connection for about a year, because I was in the deepest grief and we just could not meet. And I think the most surprising thing to me when we did finally reconnect, and Chrystopher played a big role in that, I realized that where we are now, meeting in the spirit realm, is exactly what we were doing in the physical. I just didn't realize.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's
it
an
just
awesome answer.
yeah, it took
What a
time.
beautiful answer.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that and your story with us. And of course, we're going to let everybody know how to find your amazing book. Absolutely amazing book. Thank you so much. Melody of Fire. It is
Melody of Fire, yes.
Wow. And Chrystopher's in it. You guys know that?
I don't think we mentioned
The book
that.
is actually about me, just like,
know, right?
Ghost is like the Whoopi Goldberg movie,
Right. Way better. Yeah, way better. You're like, I want Ghost or something better. And bam, the Melody of Fire. I love it. Or something better. You got to tack that out of your
Well,
manifestation.
here's what's interesting is that they were musicians, singers, just like myself, and lots of Leo energy, the two of them, just like myself, so fire energy. And last year, or in 2021, I made a music video for the zodiac sign Leo. And I remember feeling someone helping me write it. And then she called me about a week after that, and she was like, hey, I want you to come to my property and channel him for me, like Whoopi Goldberg. And I was just like, now I know who that was, who was guiding me. It wasn't just Prince, because he's one of my spirit guides, but there's something really magical about some of these spirit energies when they leave the physical body. Some of them go to different realms. Some of them come here and they continue to be guides and muses. And it's just, oh God, here we go.
I'm ready to share the audio. You can keep talking.
So, yeah, but this song is a
It's awesome.
a poem of love and a sonnet of hope for all Leo energies, and he definitely helped. I do remember.
I might be immature, but I think more is more. If you ever hear me roar, then I need to be adored. Yeah. Oh, baby, I'm a Leo. Call me if you need a fun night. Worship me like the sunlight. If you think my glow's too bright, that's how I know it's just right. Yeah. Oh, baby, I'm a Leo.
Pretty awesome, man.
Well, thank
Holy
you.
mailers
I
are a great
appreciate
way
that.
to package
There's
your
that
products.
damn
Stuff
sticker
is so
sticker
good.
commercial.
Check out
Get that off of there.
What's your
YouTube channel,
sign?
Chrystopher The Astromedium. You've got the Virgo one, of course, which I'm a personal favorite of. No
Of course it
leansies
is.
in any direction, of course, but you've represented all of my
Yes, I did.
sun,
Your big
rising, and
three.
moon. So
Yes,
I
I
appreciate that,
did.
Chrystopher. I
Oh, you're
mean,
so
my
welcome.
you're not allowed to say the M word around Chrystopher.
Yeah,
so
yeah. You know,
we
you all
bleep it
can
out.
say you have a moon sign, but remember that the moon is veiling your earth sign or your Gaia sign, which is exactly opposite of your sun. So I'm sun in Gemini, Gaia in Sagittarius, and my moon is in Leo, acting like a virus in a computer, which is a malware and is stopping the inner world, Gaia, from functioning because it's programming you to react and respond from that moon and Leo place. I want to be free. I don't want your validation, but something can pull me toward it constantly. And it's an emotional reptilian brain reaction. And that has something to do with the moon. And the moon is not the mother. The earth is. Gaia is. Mama Gaia. The moon is a metallic satellite. Okay. And it may not even be there. Okay. It may be just a projection in the firmament. I get all that. But regardless, it isn't what you think it is, and it is causing a distortion. So, thank you for sharing those videos. I appreciate that. But
Megan,
exactly, that's exactly how I feel. Okay,
Megan,
96.5 hip hop and R&B.
You're right, home. Yeah, there you go. We have the
Okay.
same board, people. This could go on all night. All right.
Uh-oh.
Because Brandon has Leo rising, if you hadn't noticed. But
it is rising this month.
But
Damn
I
it.
think it's important that, especially like a book like this, besides the fact that I'm in it, you know, it says on the cover, a true story of spirituality, sexuality, and surrender. And when I met her, she was on the verge of death. And I've been there, but she truly was. And so it was a totally magical, book-worthy cinematic experience. And so we made it real. We did. And Jay helped with that. Oh, I would have loved him. I can tell you that. But there's something so, because he really represents to me a safe, divine, masculine father, brother, partner energy. And so we get to have that in spirit. And it's been because the father and the mother wound has been strong for me, but the male energy has been really hard, as it has been for many feminine males. And so this reharmonizing that we're talking about and this bringing this up in the collective is so important. And I think what's also, when I brought up the detoxing, what's also detoxifying is cellular memories and DNA programs and deep, deep ancestral traumas, and dramas, which carry with them memory, emotion, but they also carry with them belief systems about what the woman and the man should be. I think those are purging as well as we're clearing all this.
It's a good call. Megan, what are you feeling on that?
I'm marinating on it. I don't have a quick response because it was so spot on to my own experience. And I'm noticing a lot. There's been exactly what you mentioned, that feminine males are really coming forward. There's a lot of conversation about, at least with my own clients, like the concept of two-spirited being and what that means. And I'm also noticing, just in my own spiritual practice, a tertiary energy coming forward. And I've noticed that in my dreams as well. And so it's kind of introducing a new angle for me. So I don't know if anybody else has had that experience as well. And there's something else that's wanting to come forward. Yeah, I guess the identity, now that we've kind of gone through the era of the dark feminine and then the soft girl era and the surrender, you know, and all those different things, it seems like there's this new, a deeper understanding of what it means to be divine feminine and kind of moving toward, I think, Brandon, you mentioned it in the beginning, somebody did, about just kind of how that's healing our masculine and just the fluid relationship between the two.
You know, it's interesting, and I turn to nature on these kinds of things. We live on a ranch, so we have a lot of wonderful as above, so below examples of the balance and harmony that can be achieved in a balanced male-female type of environment, the way that nature seems to have presents itself ubiquitously, no matter what you see. and the energies there that are represented, no matter your choice to be in one or another, or your sexual preferences or anything, has got nothing to do with it. It's representing balanced energies. And we have known this as in our animal husbandry practices with chickens, especially, dude. If you don't have a rooster, and anybody that lives in these cities where they're like, oh, I can't have a rooster, but I can have hens, that's awesome. You may have observed this behavior in your hens, is that they will themselves, one of them or a few of them, very confused, will step up and assume a male role. And when that occurs, they're not suited for the role. And so it's a horrible experience. This is where the term pecking order comes from, is because the hens will establish a literal pecking order because there's no balance there. So it's a battle the entire time. We've had chickens get eyes pecked out. They have their flocks get pecked out. These poor girls just get the shit kicked out of them. But the second, and I mean the moment you introduce a rooster, everything chills. All the energies are balanced out. I have noticed this so many damn times that our buddy who bought chickens probably 8 months ago, a year ago, he's like, dude, we have all these chickens. They're wonderful, but they are just kicking the shit out of this one poor girl. She's under the bench. She won't do anything. Everything he said, I said, okay, when are you coming over for a rooster? He was like, I don't want a rooster. We don't want a rooster. I go, get a rooster, introduce it. If it doesn't work out, I'll take him back. And he called me the next day and said, it's a different place. He said that rooster went over to that girl, reintroduced her, and sat with her until she was cool. He pecked all the other girls around and said, you're not picking on this one anymore. This is a balanced home. Roosters won't let one be excluded. Hens have no problem with that. They just have this balanced, disconjoined energy. But again, when you introduce this balance, as we've observed in our natural environment, and I fix people's problems as y'all spiritually do, I can just give someone a rooster and go, here's the issue with your hens. And so in the same way, we see this balance around here, and it's just interesting to observe.
I think what's happening now in the human, especially, is, and I love your example, is that we are able to balance it within, where there definitely needs to be a balance, and nature's definitely showing that in like a male body, a female body, and that's been going on for billions of years, and microorganisms even. I think what's amazing about the age of Aquarius and people like myself, and this is why I want to kind of go back to the two spirit energy that Megan brought up, because this is a touchy subject. Because although I have Native American in my lineage on both sides, I am white as hell, if you didn't notice, with a little pixie nose. And so I'm not allowed to call myself a two spirit. And there's a part of me that knows that trying not to get canceled. There's a part of me that knows that I have that
You
archetype.
resonate with the
I
concept of
resonate with
that.
that concept. Whew, gosh, we should be politicians.
Yes, we should.
Speak how you speak. There's no.
I resonate with that. Okay.
Thank
so,
you.
I really, when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, because I was obsessed with Native Americans as a child. It's shamanic energies from a Native American and Celtic and Balinese. Many of them resonate with me, but that two spirit idea is a beautiful idea because it can show that the masculine and the feminine, we all have it, but a two spirit energy truly is a male and a female in one, rather than just we all hold. Because let's get back to the crux of the biscuit here. When we talk about feminine energies and masculine energies, if we take it down to its most minute part, it's you could say action, but it's output and input. So we all have that, in our meridians in our body. And so I do, when you use the word role, Brandon, that, not to resist you, but just that kind of made me feel like, well, but roles are changing. And is it possible in the evolved human that a feminine energy could step up into what would traditionally have been a male role and heal? Because I think that chicken didn't go to enough like masculine healing retreats.
No, that is lacking out here. You're right. Corner of the
Didn't
market for
microdose. You should
forward
sprinkle some in their feed. Let's see
Right,
what
yeah.
happens. Because the stoned ape theory, and I totally believe this, that many that we did evolve. Yes, the Anunnaki had a play or a hand in that. Maybe cooking food did something, and fire, but many of those primates were eating psilocybin containing mushrooms, which was causing major shifts. And they were already ready for it because, they can already speak and communicate very similarly to us. So I think roles are shifting, and that you will have we already know this, women who are coming into male bodies, what we would consider women, but the soul is not. It's just as it filters down through the prism, it's wanting to present itself in this certain archetype that we would associate with a role, or what feminine or what a male or a female would be. And it's getting really, to some people, confusing. It's just getting really complex. It's getting much more multifaceted and multidimensional, and it's hard to understand. But I think this is the main focus right now, is harmonizing, because there's a lot of people I hear and they're like, the male should be the protector and be the sacred grounder and da 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 da. And I'm like, I think you're right. And there are males that actually, if they healed, would find that they flowed with that exactly. I definitely am a space holder, but I'm also a Kali Shakti energy as well. So we have to leave space for all of us being able to step into that from a divine template rather than a programming that has
Well,
been
so
fed.
yeah, that's exactly. So I'm really curious, kind of, first of all, I'm wanting to define roles before we get too much further into this conversation, because I'm wondering if, because there's been such an imbalance of energy for so long that has been defining our roles, like looking at the Industrial Revolution and the structure of the home and all those sorts of things happening. Lord knows what was happening in the government and all that kind of stuff at that time. But I'm wondering if, because we're moving into this awakening period and we're revisiting all of these things, if the roles or structures that are coming forward are what is more natural. And is it that they're changing with the age of Aquarius, or is it that we're shifting to something that is more in alignment and beautifully complex as it was intended to be?
Yes, and
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say
Yeah.
yes, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting because one of the pieces that I've really noticed too is with, I don't know what we're referring to this, two souls, twins.
I call it a double
wanna hear more
soul,
about the
which is
double
such
soul.
a white man thing to do, but I've been calling it a double soul.
Okay, double souls.
Like a double stuffed Oreo. Yeah.
Ooh.
You got him. What is interesting is that, even in my own experiences in relationships, is I have really been called and pulled into learning the art of surrender, right? And simultaneously learning to dance with the other energy, and learning to dance in, sometimes I show up more in my masculine, sometimes I show up more in my feminine, and I'm very aware that we all carry all of these codes. And what I personally think is going on is that our DNA is activating in an entirely different way right now, right? And so I think this is going to be a little unique to each being, is that each being's codes are coming online and activating at different rates and in different spaces. So every being is going to be dancing differently with another being, right? And I think that it's a yes and, right? The roles for some people still do work to have kind of the old paradigm, right? And they're really flowing and they're on fire. And then there are opposing. I have clients who are, the women are leading the house, the dads are stay-at-home dads, and these dads are healing. Like, I see their clients, and like I said earlier, it's like this waterfall of energy from, we won't just say like feminine, but whoever's started to put in the work, right? It's activating all of our parts. It's activating all of our codes. It's all of our feminine, all of our masculine. And then it's the beauty, like you were saying earlier, like you get around a masculine and then all your, inner things start to trigger. I am like the master illuminator. Like, this is a gift that I really had to learn was a gift. But if there is anything that needs to be really illuminated, especially within partnerships, I think we all can agree here, it's just like the mirror just gets held up so bright. And it's like, oh, wait, you don't want to see that crevice? Let me just put the light here. So it just like really blasts that area, and all your inner child and all of your sabotage and all of your fears, all of it's going to come up. And those are all beautiful gifts. But I do think it's an and. I think that all of our codes are coming on. And so I think right now the art, in my opinion, is learning to dance with it and just be in like curiosity of, wow, like this person is really reflecting this piece for me. And interesting is that for me and my partnerships that I'm in at this moment, partnership has been my inner child. And that's one that really, like, before for me it was kind of like the feminine and masculine parts, and now I've worked really deeply in activating a lot of that, and now it's like my inner child is just like screaming in so many places. So I think it's beautiful to like sit here in this circle and all of us get to kind of powwow on these different perspectives on what's going on and coming up. But I do think it's a yes and.
Yes, and that's the
You
motto.
have someone to dance with, yes?
Me?
Yes.
Aw.
Well, that's a
let's-
sensitive
Too
subject
soon.
this
Too
weekend.
soon.
Yeah, that's okay. Sorry, I get spirit doesn't care, but
Speaking of segues,
so that was so what I was getting as you were speaking was but you have to have someone to dance with.
Mm.
And it doesn't matter if there's a body there or not. Sometimes you get on the dance floor. I was an actor my whole life. I went to acting school, performing arts high school. When I would do scenes with people who were just not on my level, it was tough. Okay. When you found an actor who was right there with you, who could drop their line, but make something up in an instant, and who was on your level, then we can explore and push each other and create. When someone's not even willing to do the steps with you, that's where the imbalance is coming from, is the feminine energies, which I should say the female energies, are so ready. And that's part of the program as well. There's a program running as well that has created a double-edged sword for the men around, like, well, if you emote you're weak, like every step they take, it stabs them back, it triggers something, and trigger is weakness. So you can't even go there. Like you can't even step through the door to be able to go through these portals, because I have like 10% of my clients are male, and I love working with the ones who are just there or who are there. It's so incredible feeling for me. And the wives, partners, girlfriends, they are so unhappy, and the valley is getting so much wider, and it's like, it's important, and I think we are in the precipice of this happening. But right now there are many women who are leaving relationships, as they should, but males are just trying to find someone else and drinking more and watching more TV, and that's going to break at some point, because then we're just going to have a bunch of all my single ladies. They're going to be everywhere. I mean, that song's going to chart again, but the
song's gonna chart again.
I mean, it's going to be
89,000 coming.
and they're all joining together in sisterhood, and there is an imbalance. But I want to say this, because Lilith energy keeps stepping in, and sometimes there does have to be an imbalance before something gets, before it balances back out again. It's like, sometimes when things are so negative or polarized or abusive, whatever the case may be, for so long, we kind of have to go the other way. That's why when these people are like, everyone's so offended by things now, everyone can't. And I'm like, well, we're in a period of time where we're being overly sensitive about things to heal that. Just like you wouldn't just start walking on a foot you had surgery on. Okay. So I think, and Lilith energy really is coming up, because she represents that divine feminine rage and that sacred rage that's coming up. And these men, actually, most of them are little boys, and they're really afraid of you all, actually, because you all are an upgraded version of the male. Literally, that's what that whole rib thing was about with Adam. You all are an upgrade. You all are the iPhone 14 Pro. Okay. And we know that on a cellular level. So it doesn't mean we're beneath you, but there's a power that you have that that the male can hold space for. And our ego is like, that's our space. I mean, look at the way they spread their legs on the subway. I mean, just it's in our body to take up space. So it's about, sometimes you have to push back in really aggressive ways, which turns you into a bitch and a crazy girl and someone who's easily triggered and overly sensitive, and all the programs that are running. But sometimes it does get a little, we have to go the other way a little bit just to balance it out.
Yeah, I've been noticing the message that I've been getting just collectively, and Brittany, I don't know if you resonate with this, is this idea that, so it's kind of like the tension, like as the divine feminine or whatever is elevating and the masculine is staying where they are. That's what that, you know, and I feel that in kind of what you're describing, Chrystopher. But there's this message of like, the ones that are going to come, and the ones that aren't. And how essential it is for the feminine to allow that to be and to release that attachment, and how that's kind of like, for me, the way that I've been reading it is that that's going to be the thing that snaps a lot of these masculines into it. And so there is, I love that you talked about that sisterhood or the camaraderie between the feminine, how that's really activating right now. I'm noticing it in like, just, I'm getting chills when I'm talking about it. Like, it's just, it's in the air. There's something about the Barbie movie, I swear to God, that
Yes, we were just
really,
talking about it
it
earlier.
really did. And so it became less about like, oh, this relationship is impacting me and triggering me in these ways. It's more like, oh, I need to take this action and release this energy for the next girly. Like, we need to really be, and it's not even in like a F men sort of way. It's in a, we need to elevate. I've been allowing this to suck my energy. So because I was afraid of my own power, I'm now releasing that. And this is me elevating, and whoever comes, comes.
I think you're also touching on the inevitability of the timeline split that we're in right now,
Mm,
and how the fork in the road is. We've already crossed that, and there is quite a um, space in between this. There's many different timelines happening, as we know, but there's two major parallel Earths that are splitting and have been for years, but the physicality of that is getting more apparent. And so, yes, there will be people who don't choose the reality that we may feel that we're choosing, and there's not hierarchy. We're not choosing utopia, and they're choosing George Orwell's 1984 kind of thing. But um, but we have our own version of that, even in 5D, which we could call 1984, you know, because of AI and of technology. It's all perspective, but it it really is. There's a lot of people in our lives right now that are not going with us, and it's seemingly that they're not ever going to, and trying to grieve that and make peace with that. And a lot of these people are males at this time who are still, it's not too large that they can't jump. Okay.
Mhm.
It will be at some point, because we won't even be able to perceive of each other. We'll be ghosts to each other, basically, living on the same planet, but phased out into two different dimensions, just like Bigfoot and unicorns and fairies. They do exist. I do believe in fairies, because they live in in an alternate or parallel dimension in Earth, and within the Earth too. So I think that this conversation is bigger than just one-to-one
mm,
relationships, but that's where it's really starting, because that's where the most human essence of it is. And but like I said, they have to want to dance, and they will. I am hearing that they will, but it's almost like they have to lose their mommy first.
Mm.
Okay, because
exactly.
that's what you chicks have been. Okay, you and me too. You've been their mommy, and it's time to take the
Hmm.
tit out of their mouth, and it's time to let them starve a little bit, because they are warriors. They are kings. They are prophets and healers and shamans, and they have no idea, because they're being coddled, and they are uh, choosing that patriarchal program of control and complacency. And you all are the sacred disruptors, and so are the non-binary gay people. I mean, we are disruptors, but definitely anyone that's leaning in that feminine direction naturally, even heterosexual males who aren't afraid to share their emotions and be feminine in what we would have considered what feminine was at one time, internally or externally. That's bravery and total beauty to watch. Like, Brandon, you're one of the only males that have come along where I feel like totally comfortable with, where I don't ever feel like I have to be more masculine to make you comfortable. And yes, you feel like a brother, but you don't feel like
The
I don't
brother
know.
that beats you up and gives you wedgies and shit.
You weren't the guy that was who was bullying me my whole life,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
We're
So
here to
that's
show that
also
there's other dudes out there. That's what I'm
Mm.
representing.
yes.
I think you touched on another like layer of dissonance there though, because there are those men that are making that jump or they're trying to make that jump and they're showing up in like Sacred Circle, for example, and I'm watching them struggle with I'm doing this work and I want to show up in the way that's the most beneficial, but I don't really know what that's supposed to look like.
It's much scarier for us than it is for you girls, and I'll just say that. It's a bigger jump. It's so much bigger ideologically, because for y'all to embrace something that's been denied from you is huge. For us to completely rewrite all the programming and survival mechanisms that's made this all work, um, it's huge. It's a big thing, and I'm not saying it's easier for anybody. I'm saying that ideologically, you can see the appeal for crystals and for healing in this free, open expression and vulnerability way. More, I feel, and even the programming that the feminine has been given over the males for sure, heterosexual males, and specifically, however we want to put that. But yes, and thank you for pointing that out. Is that gap is, and we're welcoming dudes over here constantly. I'm like, brother, cry with me. You know, let's talk about how this feels. Like it's so empowering because I talk to a lot of dudes, actually, strong, big, tough, fucking sledgehammer dudes that are like, man, you know, I'd like to talk about this, and I don't know how to break this down in front of my wife. And then we'll be crying together on the phone. And I'm like, brother, how's this feel? He's like, I never knew it could feel it. And I'm like, I know. And it's these dudes, you know, that you wouldn't think are like this, but it's them being able to come out and open because there is such a beautiful space here. Everyone's reclaiming things, but not from a point of you took it from me. We're reclaiming it in a way that we're all going together. This is 1776 without the bodies. No one's saying this has got to be righted now because it was wrong. We're saying, hey, all this shit was fucked. The lights are coming on. We're shining light on all this stuff. And here's the blind spots that we all can see from these beautiful perspectives that we all have. And if we're honest enough to embrace those, and there's a beautiful gift and embodiment on the other side of this.
I agree with you, and you brought up 1776. So, which was like Pluto is in the exact same area of the
Yeah,
zodiac
that's
right now that it
exactly.
was in 1776.
Yeah, that's why I
So,
said this, but without the death and destruction in bodies, I feel it's not going to be that brutal.
yeah,
Not just the way.
it's on a yeah, it's on a different level, except the death and destruction is happening. Maybe
Uh,
not in our reality, but
right. Part of it, but
it
I feel
has
like
happened, okay?
yeah.
In the past 3 years, it has definitely happened as it should. That's what Pluto's about. And it's not just about literal death, it's about death to systems, death to unevolved aspects of the human collective oversoul and psyche, the human collective will. That's what Pluto represents. And Pluto is also about transformation, but entering the age. So we've been entering the age of Aquarius for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's a slow phasing in process. And what we're also seeing with Pluto crossing this threshold, it's in Capricorn again. And what we're seeing it being back in that spot is a turn of the spiral, but a lot of those themes that were really prevalent then showing up in more modern ways now.
Right.
Slavery, money. I mean, these themes are coming up. Abuse, because Pluto can really unearth what we would consider shadow or dark things because it has to bring it to light from the underworld. And part of that is, you know, in the 1700s, the patriarchy was just, it was on its way down, but barely. It was really in full swing, you know? I mean, it was totally enacted everywhere, especially with this country and what it was founded on. Pluto entering Aquarius and being there for 20 years, I mean, is the end of the United States as we know it, thank goddess. And I am glad that you brought that up because Pluto is one of the key players on why this is happening, because Aquarius is all about future probabilities, new timelines, innovation, renovation, revolution. There, that was the American Revolution, and this is truly the world revolution. This whole waking up en masse like this is like when we go to retreats, that's our Boston Tea Party, baby. So it's like we are really, and it's not about sticking it to the man anymore, it's about sticking it to the lizard. That's what it really is about,
Yeah.
and sticking it to the
Sticking
moon.
it to the lizard turd.
Yes.
Because
Because
there's difference. We want to represent all here in a fair way. There are lizards, and then there are lizard turds. There's
yes,
delineation.
yes,
Not
yes,
all-
I have
Can
reptilian in
we
me,
get a
and it's
hashtag for that? That would
Hashtag,
fire.
not all lizards are turds.
no, they're not. Not all of everything is anything,
Right.
So we
Yeah,
really have to keep, and I'm glad that you said that, but it's this is also where what America was a representation of what society was going to turn into, because America influences the rest of the world whether we like it or not. So Pluto in Aquarius, or the Pluto return of the United States, affected the whole planet. And this is a revolution on a galactic level, because we are not just ascending. We have to remember that while we're talking about males and females and healing, this is so difficult as well, because you're not living in the third dimension right now. You're living in a copy of the third dimension. You're living in a simulation, which the whole universe is, if you want to look at it as a holographic matrix. But you are living in a copy of a third dimension. So while you're trying to get out of the third dimension, you have to hack out of the copy or the simulated version of that just to get to the fifth dimension. I mean, this means undoing, rewriting, and rewiring so many programs. No wonder you all are going through death and rebirth in 8 hours at nighttime. You're going to bed and you feel happy. You wake up at 3 a.m. having a fit, having anxiety, crying, ready to purge, having ascension symptoms. Wake up in the morning depressed. By noon, you're like, I'm ready to change my diet. I feel like a being of light. This would have happened over months and years before. Now it's happening overnight. People are having Kundalini awakenings en masse. So, and as we're talking about this, if I was a unhealed, that sounds really elitist. I just mean like someone who hasn't done the work, or someone who's just beginning. This sounds really big and scary and overwhelming, and it is. So it's really important that everyone who even has the desire right now to do this kind of work, be a psychic, be an oracle, read cards, read palms. It doesn't matter what your healing art is. All these people who are like, oh, everyone's becoming an astrologer. We need more of you.
Not you. Yeah. It's like that thing about authors and stuff. They're like, people have written books, but you haven't. Like, this is the
Right.
thing. And yes, absolutely. It's about the delineation, and it's coming from your voice. So also, we talked about lizard turds here, selfless plug. You guys can go to expandingrealitypodcast.com.
I
We
have
do
one of these
t-shirts available.
shirts.
I know you do, and thank you for your support. We do have t-shirts available. I did make this, and I'm very proud of this design. This is a lizard turd. He's got the turd represented here on his hat. If you couldn't, if there was any sort of
That's
issue, and then another little spot over here. And yes, these flies are all hand put in here. Thank you. So lizard turds, not all of them are turds though. So there you are. Check it out, guys.
It's a turd hat.
tpublic.com.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, he's got a little
I
turd.
need that.
You do it in any color too. What does it look like in gray? That's what it looks like in that color.
I need to
Oh,
see.
In pink?
And that's
Okay.
the
You
one
want
I
a dark
have.
pink or a light? Yeah, you have the, yep.
Oh, that's cute.
That's cute. This is more of a fuchsia, I believe. That
Mm,
one says
okay.
lizard turds. It yells it at you. Right? It's like, whoa, I can't hear you over your shirt, bro. So, yeah, many more designs here. We're not going to run through the catalog, but I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that the lizard turds were available, as well as, with this one for this audience, the Align Your Chakras has been very popular. This is the Surah Mudra. There's a whole video that I made, an advertisement for this. It's very informative. It's very detailed. So Align Your Chakras, everybody. Available now, expandingrealitypodcast.com. So, Megan, how are you?
how am I?
Hmm.
In this moment, really, really, really happy to be like in this circle of people talking about lizard turds. Generally, I would say I am clinging to my role as the observer of my own experience right now. And like everything is always working out for me, is constantly on repeat, because there is just so much coming up to be felt. And I'm noticing that, I kind of want to slip into some old patterns of identifying with some old things, but I have had enough I have enough momentum in my practice right now to not like slip into those old narratives and to kind of be in a place of observance. But holy shit, it's intense. It's a lot. Like, the constant death and rebirth, and yeah, but so good. It's
Yeah, there's
so
a lot
good.
of that happening
Yeah.
for us, for everybody, for me as well. Like when you're talking
Hmm.
about like earlier today, I woke up this morning after having a really vivid dream that didn't feel very good, but I could tell it was progress in the right direction.
Yeah.
Um, I woke up feeling really depressed,
Mm.
suicidal even. I knew it wasn't
Yeah.
mine fully, and I also knew like that it needed to like purge out. That stuff doesn't scare me anymore because it's very
Yeah.
fleeting, but it's very real when it's happening. And I was just like, oh, haven't felt this in years. And last night I felt depressed and anxious, and then turn on a song and decide to cry on purpose, and it really so much shit came out, and then I was fine. Okay, so there's so much happening so fast that ripping off the band-aid really hurts. You
Yeah.
think hair by hair is better, but you're just elongating it. So,
Hmm.
and I just kept saying to myself earlier today, which I never really say, everything's always working out for me. Everything's always working out for me. I was
I
saying
love
that to
that. I'm
myself
the
earlier
luckiest girl in
today
the universe.
because you
Everything's
know what
always
was
Hmm.
working out.
interesting? I was sitting there depressed, and knowing that it would pass, but then I said, wait, I can choose away from this. I don't like this is just fog from the dream I just had, and the feeling I
Yes.
was just in. And I was like, I don't have to feel this. And it lifted.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like there's
Yes.
also so much freedom. We were talking about this earlier. I said there comes a point in your process where there's just so much freedom because you just don't have many more F's to give about things, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
like I'm in a
Oh,
simulation,
yes.
Whatever.
and like he said, like I got this push from spirit to like contact him. I'm like, hey, like where can I do like a reset weekend? Like I need like a, and he's like, grab your ticket, come down. I'm like, okay. And last night he texted me, and I'm totally in breakdown in my bed, and I'm like, I'm having like so much fear, and I'm wondering if I'm doing the right thing, and I don't know if I'm supposed to be coming or I'm not. And this morning I am like standing in the line at the airport, just like ugly girl crying. I was like,
Yes.
don't even just like in it. I'm in the air, like getting
Uh,
in the seat, and I'm just saying like Abraham Hicks is playing, and she's like, everything's
Yeah.
working out for me, and I'm just saying, I'm like, everything
Everything's
is
working.
things are like
yeah.
great.
And I was like, I had the moment, and I was like, bitch, you are putting mascara on today, and we are going to slay. So like, we're done. Okay, I have grieved. We are okay. We
Well,
have
we were
cried
crying
for
with
2 days.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
It's-
the thing that comes to mind is thank you for your service. Honestly,
yes.
like,
Thank you.
Yes.
yeah. Thank
100%.
you.
It has
Yeah.
been insane. This morning, for some reason, I didn't know what it was. Felt extremely anxious, a ton of energy. I mean, I took an edible before I went and picked her up. I was like, dude, I don't know what's going on, but I am not okay. And it was heavy. And then even Mary, we were driving home, and we stopped at Starbucks on the way out. And she had called, so I called her back, and she's just shaking and crying. I was like, baby, go outside, ground. We got through it. But then talking to her, I start crying on out here, ugly girl crying in front of Starbucks. And I just met my new friend here, and I'm just like, oh, it's gonna be okay.
That's
And
great.
I was like, what is happening? And then all of it was gone immediately, right after
Yeah.
the tears. It was
It's
over.
moving so quickly now, and I think we do need to talk about Lionsgate.
We're,
So
way to go,
Yes.
spoiler alert. I was gonna see if we could get through the first hour without it. We're 1 minute and 10 seconds away, Chris. So thank you. I
well,
actually,
but what's happening is that's why it's like this
I,
collective synchronicity. So come on, it's going to happen.
yeah,
So
Mhm.
and it's not just because the sun is aligning in the way that it is, like it does every year. Yes, that's meaningful, but also all of us posting about it and talking about it and thinking about it is creating a huge bubble and portal. I know we're on the same page. Um, because we create these portals. We decided the Gregorian calendar is bullshit. So the fact that it's 8/8 and it lands, but it does land synchronistically with the alignment, and there's a beauty to that. But we are doing that. We are really pulling in these light codes because we're deciding to. And so I'm like, let's fucking decide to do this every day, please. Let's not wait for 11/11 anymore. Let's really and it's because we'll do that later. I've got frozen pizza and housewives to watch, and I'm not telling on myself, but it's really important to note that, because you all are describing what I just went through, and I do know it's that, but also when I'm in bed by myself, I'm allowed to be human and go, what the fuck is happening? And this is also what I was
Doing a
thinking
lot of
about
that.
earlier, and it was
Today.
you all that I was talking to about it, because I was
Yes.
talking to someone, and it was the fact that some people will be watching this and they're going to go, they're healers and they're still going through that.
Oh, dude,
These
we
people need to get over themselves, because like Chiron is the wounded healer, and that's an archetype we're all living right now. But I have a lot of clients who aren't working with me anymore because I've let them see all of my human, and they were looking for their
Good.
next Jesus and their
Yeah.
next Jim Jones, and it wasn't going to be me. And now all the clients that are coming in love to see me as the inner child, as the wise Yoda, as all the different versions of me. When I'm out screaming in the yard and going, I want my mommy and I want a family, like, there's a part of me that wants to put that on a live and let people watch it, because it gives them permission to do it. But there are a lot of people who would say, oh, he's definitely not who I want to work with. I want to work with Abraham Hicks, because they have millions of dollars and they talk like this all the time. And this is just so unreal. And the expectations of people like us in this field from clients who really are just looking for another cult leader, many of them need to see this. And I'm glad that we're all on here talking about the snot coming out of our nose and the mascara running down our face, because that shows that we're doing it.
yeah.
Yeah, and I've been I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I've just been really affirming that role for myself recently, how imperative it is to allow space. Like, it feels like almost like career or some sort of work energy, to allow space to kind of experience all of that, and to kind of like uh and have the experience, intuit whatever spirit has to say or share about it, and then go and share it with my clients or the world or you guys. And yeah, just how important it is to like be intentional about that process.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I was going to invite you guys to share, because we were talking about this earlier, how impactful it is for all of us to be real with this process and to share with this process what this really looks like, and not to be afraid of it, not to be the guides that everybody's got that are like, I have information I can't share with you yet. And it feels like some of those spiritual folks, however they want to present themselves, we all present ourselves however we want. It seems like that this tribe, our tribe, has chosen the authenticity path, and this is why we're all so goddamn aligned. And we just get along so well, is because we all feel this as deeply as possible, because that's what we're called to do. And it's an interesting thing to have this just so beautifully reinforced with among our ranks. I don't even feel that this is a war, but among our tribe here, in the sense that you can be yourself, and that's really the only requirement here, is the authenticity. Just come as you, like literally come as you are, right? That's the thing. Not come as somebody else that dressed up twice like that because you're wearing those pants because you thought they were cool and you saw them in a, it's like those little things you're trying to fit in and all these things. Like, just come as you. What do you have? And what we're noticing here is, especially with the publishing house, with the show, I mean, Chrystopher, you've noted this with your guests, with everybody that does something like this, you're more empowered, and it's yes and. Just got an amazing card deck and book series sent by Barbara DeLong, who's an author of many things, but she made her own oracle deck, and it's an incredible process. We did a card pull earlier. We're going to go live on Sunday with her.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just sitting here looking at this, just going, holy shit, our tribe is just so talented, like amazingly talented. This woman who came and saw us last weekend on her plane ride over here, we talked one time on the phone. She heard something about superheroes and cross-stitched this for me on the plane on the way out here to see us. It's like, it's the Green Lantern ring for anybody who's not a comic book nerd. But it's like these little things. It's like, how do you guys, do this? And just to see it permeating everywhere with just all of the stuff that's coming out. But it all comes from this very authentic place. And that's the root of all of this. And we're here to support every bit of it. And that's why it's so free. That's why it's also so appealing. And why the gap is being jumped so hard from folks that don't feel like they're going to come over here and get yelled at for the patriarchy that was representing by something else like for years. It's the same reason I feel that folks in the, if you want to take this line of thinking with it, if it's even true, that folks in the military won't talk about UFOs or aliens or anything because they feel like, well, I've heard the conversation come up a lot lately, and I felt we were all past this. But a lot of people are like, oh, we're gonna have to haul them out in the streets, and it's like, when is it going to be okay to be yourself and to be open? And I feel now is that. And so it's got to come at no judgment. It's come as you are. Let's wipe all slates clean. And this is why all of us feel so called to work on ourselves, is because we know we're not going to find the answers by punishing someone out there. You're going to sit with why you experienced that in the first place, and then heal from there, and then look around to all the other people going, what the fuck's going on, and help them heal as well. And I feel that's what we're doing here. We're walking each other home. But we go through these depths so we can show people, like, oh, suicide, yeah, that's easy. Like, that's when you wake up in the morning and you just go, you're gonna kill yourself today. That used to really bother me, and now it's just like, psh, bitch, there's like 12 steps past that I'm very comfortable with, and you're full of shit, and they're not mine, and I know that. And so there's a lot of real in this. And so to anybody out there that thinks it's tough or it's hard or whatever, it's very manageable, it's very doable, and it is way better than the third dimension. Y'all get the fuck over to the fifth, man. We got cool
Let
music.
me also just jump in real quick and say about 90% of my life is unicorn and rainbows and magic. And it's not just 11:11 on the clock. It is blue orbs and fairies outside and deer in my front yard and beautiful lion's mane mushrooms magically growing out of my mama tree when they don't grow around here. And clients that you knew in other lives constantly coming. That experience I had is not the norm. These are just little phases we go through, these little pockets where you think, gosh, this 3 days feels like 30 years. When you've done the healing work and when you step into your power and you go through something like that, you move through it so quickly because you're so used to being tuned to the station of joy and bliss and love, and also just peace. Many of you are bored, but it's because you don't know that that's what peace is. And I think we're reaching a point where people do need to hear that we're crying in the airport and snotting, but also it's so worth it because people are like, this just never ends. People say this healing process just never ends. First of all, healing can be moving from joy to bliss, not trauma to feeling better. So know that the healing never stops, but this density absolutely will shed, and we will transcend it and ascend out of it.
I think for people like new on the path that are just coming to this work, that's such an important bridge for them to see us snot crying. And I know when I was going through my deepest grief, I was looking around like, who who can hold this? Who can teach me how to hold this? And I needed to see people moving through the very human emotions, and that they could hold it for themselves so that maybe they could like shed light on teaching me to hold it and to heal it. So I don't think that the importance of that needs to be overlooked at all. But you're right. I mean, we do get to a certain level as healers. And then we're looking up, right? We're looking for like the next level of the hand up for support. And it does get easier and it does get better. But for those people that are just on the bottom staircase, it's really, really touching and heart opening to see healers also like carrying that weight.
I'm that content creator who I actually have my little pods, nice, what do you call it, little phone stand, like sitting outside on the patio. I carry it with me everywhere. And in part, it's because, last October, I told Spirit, I was like, everything that's not authentic for me, just rip it off. Like, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to like just really grind into like authenticity at its core. And one of the pieces that came through to me so clearly was you have to continue to share this process because like you're going to be pulled through the portal. I'm still being pulled through the portal. But it's funny because even, yesterday I go into this breakdown and I had my phone next to me because I was like on, getting support through friends and all of that. And I'm like, I need to record like what's going on. I'm doing breath work and I was doing movement, and so I like propped my phone up and I started like just then, prop the phones, hit record and get back into your process and like be in your flow. And I think I'm saying this to say like anyone who is feeling the courage, if you're a creator or anything like that, to start to share those vulnerable moments, like that's what we need. And yeah, I'm laughing because I'm messaging my friends and I'm like, well, ugly girl crying at the airport, like #healing, like doing so great. But I think it's important, I think it's important for us to share these super vulnerable moments because the other piece is you cannot make that stuff up. And all of us know, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, whatever, when you see someone share themselves in a breakdown and they have like an audio or a voice over it, you feel it. Like you're not going to feel if that's all made up and not authentic. So that is one thing that I've just like gotten even deeper into is I'm like, you know what? Look at the mess. Like mess is the message, pain into power, right? It's so important in this process. And it's what's going to help people who have to cross that gap that we're just continuing to create. They're like in the desert and they're like, I'm dying. And I'm like, but she's dying and she made it. So it's okay. You know, I think
Yeah, you just healed me a little bit because um, I have shared some things. I'll share it in a caption, I'll share it while talking about it, but I don't film myself when I'm out there doing the thing usually. My dad's voice will pop up in my head. There's things that'll pop in, and it'll sometimes feel inauthentic, like you're turning on record and putting on a show, Christopher, be real, because that was a big program that I got programmed with was, he would poke me and he'd say, that didn't hurt, just like you're making it up, or you're over dramatizing, you're just putting on a show. And I have often feared, it's part of one of my witch wounds, that if I was to share those things, people would think that I was doing that on purpose to, I don't know, follow a trend, or like
oh, you're just
gain some
illuminating
type of
authenticity.
sympathy. And I talk to myself like which one is it? And so it's like you're saying it's more authentic, and I feel that, and I keep getting this ego that's like, no, you're being inauthentic by doing that. Put the phone down and go out there and just cry and be real with yourself without having to put on a show. And I'm like, wait, I am a show. What, so you
I'm the
actually
main
just
character.
sometimes we need, just like it just happened now, you sharing that just inspired me to start sharing that more, because if I would have way more content to share, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I really don't want to talk about astrology today. I don't feel like it. And you know what I do feel like? I feel like taping my dad's face to a pillow and beating it and then telling him how much I love him after. But maybe, and I've thought about, let's show this to the world. Let's let people do this, and then I'll see other people doing it. My Aquarius will kick in and be like, don't follow trends. And I'm like, just stop. Just stop. So this really was an awesome moment for me to realize how inauthentic I've been by trying to chase authenticity.
Yeah, I want to ask, because I'm just going to brag on you here for a second, Megan. Megan has these, and I'm just going to share her page real quick, guys. So all the ways, of course, to find y'all are going to be, of course, located in the place where the show description for this goes. That is not Megan, obviously. Okay, thank you. Okay. Jolene, you visit my page every day. I am a poster, not a consumer of content, and so, but when I'm on, I'll, usually there'll be one or two things that I need to like, okay, fine, I'll fine, and then you're usually one of them, though, for damn sure. And I'm grateful that it's pulled up, because the way that you do this, the way that your energy works with these, I've told you before, I will sit there and just like cry. It was about a month and a half ago. There was just a week of just a wonderful level up. It was the final boss, all this great shit. And there was every single day you popped up with the perfect video. They weren't even in line. They weren't in order. They weren't in anything, but your energy is in every single one of these. And every time you're like, oh, I'm going to pull a cord out, I fucking feel it. I've had other videos that I've watched like this not connect in the same way. But I'm gonna brag on what you do energetically is remarkable, darling. So again, everybody out there, if you're on TikTok, meg.kit, it's up here on the screen for everyone. But also, it'll be linked down below. Also, Instagram, all the things. Guys, if you want to reset a balance, anything like this, I do my me work, my mindful expansion, which abbreviates to me. My me work is in the morning, and it's all my morning until I'm done with it. And usually this is part of this process, this illuminating something in me that I don't see offered by an outside. And this is something I invite. And Megan has fulfilled this most times for me. And especially in this really tough time, there were several conversations that were in there, but as far as content goes, which I don't consume much of, Megan, you energetically healed the shit out of me through that. And I just really wanted to thank you. Okay.
It's literally, It's such an honor. I can't like, it really blows my mind that people like, because this is such a common response from people, that it's always exactly at the right moment. And I just feel like there's just a huge amount of gratitude for myself for like maintaining, being intentional about connecting and posting when it feels aligned and when it feels authentic. I'm really, so thank you for that
I'm
reflection.
as far as just not talking about it and doing it, I have hit the wheel randomly here.
Oh my God. Why are you going that
Which
fast
one
for?
do you want? Which one do you have? Okay, we'll get you a little more modern. I'm feeling this one right here. So we're gonna, if you
This is
don't
an
mind,
energy
Megan.
healing for your solar plexus, specifically to deal with some imposter syndrome that the collective is feeling this. So if you're along with us and you're resonating with that, you are totally on the right track, and I am here to help you work through that. So if you'd like to receive, you can go ahead and take a deep breath in with me. Exhaling. Drop the shoulders. Beautiful. Let me right in. Thank you so much. I'm going to start off by just connecting your root. Beautiful. Up through your sacrum and into your solar plexus. Beautiful. Thank you for being so receptive. Yeah, there's a little bit of a block between your solar plexus and your throat. Spirit's wanting me to remind you that the best way to show up as your most authentic and most powerful and most positively valued self is to do things that feel good to you, no matter what anybody else thinks. And this is specific for somebody, but holding boundaries that you've already set and holding yourself accountable to your own boundaries that keep you secure. Beautiful. I'm just going to remove some of these old thought patterns that aren't even really yours. Deep breath in. Exhaling. Good. Deep breath in again. Exhaling. Great job. I'm just going to close you down a little bit. Your aura is pretty extended. Great job. Thank you for allowing me into your energy. Let me know where you felt this. This is an energy healing for your solar
I
plexus.
loved that.
I know.
Thank
Every
you.
day, guys.
Get
I
it,
look
girl.
forward to that so
Thank you.
much. We also
Well,
put hair banging, by the way. On point.
yeah.
Thank
Speaking of like just the process of finding and embodying the most authentic self, whatever evolution of self that is at that time. And also calling more healers forward, calling more astrologers forward. You know, I talk with a lot of people who feel like there's already so many readers and so many healers on TikTok that there's no space for it. And I just want to share, like, I don't even know how old that video is, but that feels like such a baby version of me, even though like I started TikTok back in February. So like this was not that long ago that I posted this.
6'4".
And
So
just how much, oh my God. Like,
June.
so like
Yeah.
the other day,
So 3
I
years ago.
totally, the amount of evolution that I've gone through in that time has been insane. Also, I'm feeling a little bit inspired to subject shift a little bit, if everybody's cool with that.
Please.
I've been recently, so the thing about my videos that I've always found interesting, that I've been in the process of editing, adding super awesome music over it, is that it always follows a rhythm. And like, yeah, you could just say that I'm a musician and it makes sense, but I'm also noticing that when I'm doing a lot of long distance energy healings, it's following this very rhythmic pattern. And the way that I do energy healing is more, it's almost like timeline projection, similar to astro projections. So it's very like it's very much happening. I'm seeing this with you in that moment, even though it's separate from the one that I'm in right now and that you're in right now. Like when we're interacting energetically, it is the present moment. That is what's occurring. And I had an experience recently where I totally lived August 1st twice. Like August 1st was Monday and then it was Tuesday, and it really blew my mind. And I think it's because I've been practicing this like music related, a ton of music related energy work or rhythmic. So I don't know if you guys have like considered that at all, or what your conception of like timeline jumping and all that stuff is. I'm dying to know.
Well, it's interesting you would say that. Amy Belair, who's a sister of ours, she just did a live video today about timeline shifting and quantum leaping, and which I totally understand. And music is the frequency of the unit. Like it is the frequency of everything. Like music truly represents here the language of the soul. So what you're doing is you're creating wave patterns that you can use to ride, because we're trying to jump into these parallel realities, but we're falling through the cracks, we're falling into ones. Music is very intentional and never wavers if you're right in on the right frequency, and one that's in alignment with you. So, and what you're doing actually is you're broadcasting music through your movement, through your hands, through your voice. There's a musicality to it. And so there's a beauty to it as well. Dance is music, just physically embodied. So what you're doing is musically charging and allowing for us to surf. All of us are doing it, but quite literally you were doing it, surf into a parallel reality that you're receiving as their highest possible outcome. You're broadcasting it and doing it in such a way that someone can't help but be completely like a beautiful song that you're hearing, swept up by it so that it takes them to it without resistance.
I'm gonna need you to write that down for me, and I'm gonna read it every day.
This is on replay. It'll be up all the time. But yes, it is a meme. We need that the whole thing on
Every time I'm ugly
with your
girl
face.
crying, that's it. I'm just gonna be like, yeah.
That's my mantra when I'm in ugly girl cry mode. Is I'm like, I'm doing this because I'm collecting the codes that I'm gonna help other people break free from.
It's so weird that you say that, because last night I was crying about my mom, but I saw my three brothers and I felt like I was feeling their pain too. And I screamed. I was like I was taking all of that in, and then I was crying and wailing and sobbing and feeling all three of them. And then I looked up, like my higher self is up there, and I go, "This better be doing something, bitch." Well, because sometimes it does need to move through you, and other times that's a boundary issue. And so in that moment, I wasn't quite sure, and I was like, if we're doing this, they better feel better tomorrow. I can tell you that.
Yes.
You're welcome.
They're welcome. Done manifesting lessons for thriving and receiving, spirit. Remember that.
Yes.
Only send me that shit. So Lionsgate portal, we talked about a little bit. I'd like, Brittany, if you don't mind, just tell what your interpretation on the Lionsgate portal is. This is interesting.
It was so similar to
Yeah.
what Chris was saying. So I told him, I said, for me, because I'm not the astrologer, though I dabble, I know a little bit here and there, it's just not my thing in this life, I said, I think collectively we have created so much attention to it that it's like we're just ripping open portals. We're opening up this big orbit where it's just this slow swirl of possibility. So it's like, what do we want? What are we creating? And then what are we throwing away? What don't we want? What's not working anymore, right? And it's just all of this energy that collectively, now we've got everyone who even isn't necessarily conscious or necessarily on the awakening path that still is like, oh yeah, Lionsgate, right? Or they joke now, Mercury's in Gatorade, right? Like people are talking about it because they're getting it. So it's like we have so many conscious tendrils that are just plugging in to this. And it's like, yep, okay, here we go. And what happens when we have mass groups like us sit together, right? We alchemize and we create magic, but it also is on a collective level right now. We have so many people that are gearing up for Lionsgate, letting things go, all this, right? So it's like, we are creating a portal that, yes, we could create every day if we wanted to. But the reason that, you know, you're seeing all over TikTok and you're hearing all of us say, oh, here's the time, here's the way, is also because we are creating it. Like, all of us together in our thoughts are like just widening the gap. And we're like, let's just put in this beautiful little magical cauldron all the things that I want.
Fuck
And
yeah.
because there's so much energy in it, once it really starts to, now we're telling everyone, oh, we're winding down, everything's going to start to bloom. We start to be like, oh my gosh, it's like magic. This is happening and this is transmuting and this is whatever. And we're like, look at what we just did.
What if we did a Lionsgate at a certain time every day where we all got together and just intentionally said, all right, we're opening portals for the highest and best. We just have basically a simple mantra that we say at the same time every day. What is that a thing? Is that I mean,
That is a thing. That's
okay.
what Seth and Abraham and Buddha and Jesus has been telling us to do for thousands of years and 50 years, you know, be intentional. Your thoughts create your reality. So we're really watching that. I mean, with the Lionsgate is special because of that A8 frequency, which we decide on that collectively. But it also aligns with the star Sirius. But I went online to see, you know, let's just see the first article that pops up about the Lionsgate. What do you think it was about?
The
Manifesting.
Oh,
Manifesting more money and more cars and more spiritual people who are not like those low vibe people who don't get you. And Lionsgate is not about manifestation. You're manifesting every single second, every millisecond of every day. Okay.
Yeah.
Lionsgate, I mean, Sirius, the energy coming from Sirius holds a specific pattern, a wavelength pattern, due to its distance away, but also the energy of the beings there. All of that is encased in these light codes that are coming in. So it's way bigger, but you're also going to see, and I'm going to bring it up, the darker sides or the more patriarchal sides of the spiritual industry and the spiritual world coming forth. You know, like Mercury retrograde is not the only reason that it becomes chaotic is because we've all decided on it to be. It's a really beautiful experience of seeing things from another perspective. Yet everything does go chaotically for me because I'm a collective empath. So I'm also sometimes living the experience of a lot of these. Even if I don't read about it and I stay away from it, it'll still happen. And I think it's important to tap out of what is Lionsgate going to do for me and what I can do, what this can mean for the collective as a whole.
don't ask yourself not what Lionsgate can do for you. Ask what you can do for Lionsgate.
Precisely.
Nailed it.
Exactly.
Absolutely nailed it. Megan, what's your interpretation on the Lionsgate?
Oh gosh, very similar. I'm not that big into astrology either. Same thing. I know a little bit. But I noticed the thing that's coming forward that is wanting to be associated is different areas of the earth that are being activated along as we're opening up this portal. I'm also interested in this conversation of like opening up portals every day, how that might impact us, like the need for rest. And if we're constantly like in a constant state of shedding and evolution, is that positive, or is there a certain balance in having these, like every once in a while we're opening up these major portals?
I like that. Rather than screwing with it, we've got an astrological clock above us. It's been the same for tens of thousands of years, which happens on a spinning ball hurling through space.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is interesting that these things are cyclical and marked up there. So I like it. You know, you just kind of go roll with it, roll with what's up there. And apprehension or sort of opening another portal is something that like a Bond villain would want to do, right? They'd want to get in it and amplify it more and be like, how can we? But you don't need to. It's all right there and everything's cyclically very balanced out and it feels great. I treat the
Well-
retrogrades like speed, like school zones for the speed limit. Like if I'm like hauling ass through a school zone, I'm like, okay, hang on, slow down. It's retrograde. Just don't make any big things. Just slow down a little bit. I just pump the brakes a little. So I don't take them like Mercury and Gatorade anymore. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not worried about it either. And you talked about rest, which is so important because I'm a manifester in human design, and we go through pretty drastic, almost bipolar rest and urge cycles. And I'm
Mhm.
in a resting cycle now. And I know that because I've trained myself to now recognize working for myself and making my own schedule when it's happening and what's happening. And so um, I'm definitely, I actually feel called to rest and not be sharing things on social media right now because I go through periods like that. And during this time, I'm on day 24 or 25 of a 30-day detox, which involved a 4-day fast that I'm coming off of. And this was guided by spirit, and it's landing all around this portal energy, which I find is interesting, but it is about rest and not productivity and sharing. And yes, it's big Leo energy, but I'm entertaining myself right now, and
I'm
Jen's here
entertaining you.
Yeah.
entertaining me too. But the rest is so important, you all. And there's just as much manifestation in rest as there is in the action, because that's where the downloads come in. If you all don't go out in the sun and
That's the most important sticky note I've written down all year. Just slow down.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
It's
Yeah.
so
slow
much faster
in,
when you slow down.
slow in,
I
go
like that.
Yeah.
in. Like, if you want to go stand out in the sun, you should be doing this every day. Absorb those beautiful light codes, but definitely during this time, those quiet spaces and that rest is where these true light codes and downloads and upgrades can come in while you're taking action and you're focusing on certain things and holding resistance in any way. It can't find its way in, just like Jay couldn't start talking to Jen during her process because grief was a frequency that was too out of range from where he was. So, but we go through our process, but many people are being called to rest right now. Actually, and I think that's what you're receiving, is that rest is a huge part of these upgrades. Is also reclaiming our rest too. It's not a reward; it's a right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fuck
It's totally a necessity. I've really
got a
I've
hard
I've had several businesses and several ventures, and the reason I really believe I've been seeing so much success, along with a whole host of other things recently, is I've just allowed myself to flow with my hormonal cycle as well, and how significant that has been. And that's really, one of the big things that air conditioning just came on. Is that disruptive?
No, you're fine.
Good. Okay. Reclaiming, one of the things I talk about is reclaiming permission for things like rest and freedom to feel. And yes, we're manifesting and we want to be as positive intentioned as we can, but it's also necessary to process trauma, and there's space and room for that as well without totally screwing up the manifestation. And bringing it back to duality, I mean, it's interesting that you brought up a specific time of day. If we're going to look at, male and female bodies specifically and how they function throughout the day. Males go through a daily cycle where women are in this 28-day flowing with the moon cycle. And it's interesting, our approach to creation being different, and how, if we're going to be balanced in our own energies, how important it might be for males to be creating portals every single day, where females are, going at a different rate.
We all are carrying around a portal all day, so
Yeah.
Yeah, the least
Yeah.
we can do is just whip one up for y'all. You're doing fine. Dr. Strange
Yeah.
up every now and then. I don't
We'll
mind
sit
doing
on the
that.
couch and be like, "Good job, honey."
Yeah.
Doing
Am I
great.
doing
Yeah.
clockwise?
Great.
Clockwise?
Yeah. And like portals of security or portals of rest. Like maybe every portal doesn't have to be this intense releasing or like really intense receiving energy. It can be embodying something else, creating access, like an access point to rest or creation or intention.
I like that. That's a great point. Y'all are awesome. Just everything about this damn conversation is so fucking wonderful. Let's do some more bragging on the community while we're here, and then we're gonna do a cognitive curveball. I don't know what it is yet, but we're gonna talk about it for the last little bit here. I don't know what it is yet. So, also wanted to brag on my partner to my right here this evening, Brittany Renee. Look at this. She's crushing as well. Just gonna pull a random one here. Here, how about this one?
So someone needs to say it. The Earth's frequency just hit like a total blackout, and we are in a massive, massive purge right now. So I just want to tell you, if you've been crying, if you feel immense sadness and grief, if you feel like you are in between two realities because timelines are trying to merge and all of the things that need to go in order for you to get in that highest timeline, I see you. My black cat is over here also chiming in on this. I just want you to know you're not crazy. I want you to know that everything that's leaving right now is leaving because it has to leave. All of the parts of you from this lifetime, parallel lifetimes, past lifetimes that no longer can be in your frequency, in your cells, in your DNA, in any of your orbit, has to be witnessed and it has to go. And if you feel resistance and you feel like there is sticky, stuck energy, or you're feeling frustrated and you're not quite understanding what all is happening, I'm going to invite you to just go deep, deep within yourself. I'm going to invite you to sit with your inner child. I'm going to invite you to go into such a still space with spirit, God, your teams, your highest self, and ask what you need to do right now. I've been there a lot today, and I have needed to just cry. I have needed to just let it out. I have witnessed what's come through. I have put my feet in the grass and grounded. I have done some self-care by getting my favorite coffee and being in breath as much as I can. We're in a huge shift, y'all. I know so many of you are feeling it, but the best part is that on the other side of this is really shiny, yummy energy that's full of love and happiness and alignment and a version of you that you've never met. A version of you that you probably can't even quite wrap your mind around fully, because this version of you hasn't entered the scene yet. This main character energy has not made its debut in this lifetime. And I'm actually hearing in many lifetimes it hasn't. But now's the time. So if you're in grief, if you're having headaches, if your body's feeling weird, please just dump out the cup. Make the space, make the room for the parts of you that are trying to come online, that are ready to come online, so you can live the life that you deeply desire. I love you. You've got this.
Beautiful.
I'm telling you, the feels just, it's just like the depth of it. Like you see it so deeply. You see all of us. We're all sitting here just going, yeah. It's just beautiful. And you just give all of, I mean, everybody just gives so many permissions, but you don't need them. And that's the whole thing. We're showing you that you don't need to be saved. You didn't have to ask permission to be yourself. Like, that's what we're healing the most. That's why you look around my house. It's a fucking like kid's dream. Like I have Legos and shit everywhere. Like my inner 5-year-old comes here all the time and just wants to play with everything. I'm like, yeah, dude, go for it. We have cartoons on and shit. Like, this is a healing space that we're all encountering here. And the more that you can embody whatever you need to do that, just fucking do that. There's so many wonderful ways to do this. And these content creators, these beautiful healers here, we just happen to record it and put it out for folks. So that's the only content creator part of this. You're creating consciousness, really, consciousness creators. And all of them have such beautiful modalities, beautiful perspectives, and can absolutely help. And most of it's fucking free. So if you guys want to go subscribe to these TikToks, if you're against TikTok, sit with that. There's so many cool things on TikTok that I would encourage you just to really sit with wherever that's hurting in you and move past it, because there's beautiful stuff going on over there. We were talking about just how big it is, but how small the community is feeling, how tight everyone is.
Yes.
And it's just an incredible community. I'm just so grateful for conversations like this, but just to know you, beautiful, beautiful people out here. My God.
Yeah, earlier today, even as I was waking up, I was like, I have so many things going on that I know are collective, and I feel like I need to share it. And Spirit was like, you will, but there are other people sharing this. Like, they got it. And thank you. So I could just rest and be, because when manifestors, when we're in our resting cycle, every single one of you can fuck off. Okay, so you generators and manifesting generators and projectors, I really appreciate just that you offered the exact same message I would have in such a beautiful way. So it takes because I do feel pressure sometimes around it, because people really are helped and need it a lot of times. And not everyone shares it in the same way, but that was really beautiful for me to kind of surrender and say, oh my gosh, both of them they're doing the work too. I don't have to do it all by myself.
Yeah.
There's a really strange man thing there for me.
Megan, do you know what you are in human design?
Manifesting generator. I have to admit, I'm like not really that into human design. I feel a little guilty about it, but
Oh, I'm just learning. I'm a projector. I'm just
okay.
learning all the things. And when I got my reading, I was like, oh, why do you know me?
Yeah.
I'm a generator. We're running the scope.
We are.
Yeah.
Awesome. I want to hear what Chrystopher has to say about timeline shifting as well. So, I mean, we might as well know what we're doing here. Here we go.
I am here at the juice bar getting my fresh organic juice and wheatgrass shots. I'm on a 30-day detox. And so yesterday I started the raw vegan portion of the detox. I'm already vegan, but this is 100% raw. And so yesterday I was feeling very tired, very lethargic, body aches, and I didn't even realize until later last night that it was the new moon in Cancer, because I don't pay attention to the moon. And I was like, that moon, okay? But yesterday I was coming to the juice bar, because I come every single day now, and the drivers were crazy, everyone was rude in here, nobody seemed happy, and I left like kind of in a bad mood. And I thought, okay, let me send them all love and let me create a version of themselves. Just like recently I've had some people respond in a certain way or behave toward me in a certain way, so I started to create my own reality and timeline shift into a timeline where they're more in alignment with me, or they respond differently, not trying to control them, but trying to send it love and trying to see if love will come back. Well, this morning, even on the way to the juice bar, I was like, maybe I should find another juice bar. They're not so nice in there. And I decided to send them love and intend on them being different today. I walk in and they act like Stepford wives. They're so happy to see me, smiles on their face. The juices are better than they were yesterday. Timeline shifting is real. I am here at the juice bar getting my
and it
fresh
absolutely works. And I'm grateful that you pointed that out too, because this timeline shifting is not much different from the nomenclature we're using to describe writing new scripts for people. And when you're putting your energy out that everyone around you is on doing the best they can, they're on their highest timeline and their deepest desires and ultimate fulfillment, best they can with the information they have, and it's not always easy. This is probably one of the more tricky things that I've embodied with this process, is I've really looked at everyone around me. Yes, like in the conversations with God, that I'm looking into the eyes of me, but also to take it a step further and not wish the parts of me were different, but actually to go beyond that and send them the energy that's going to be required for them to make the change. And I've already manifested ahead of them. I saw Greg Braden, I reposted a video he had about a rain dance. I don't know what the tribe was, so I'm not going to be insensitive. Somebody was doing a rain dance. So what the guy did was they had this whole thing set up. Everybody was standing around. This man walked out barefoot, and he stood in the middle of the circle, took a couple deep breaths. He goes, whew, all right, let's go get lunch. And that was it. And Greg was like, we gonna do the rain dance or whatever? He was like, yeah, I called for rain. It's okay. We're good. And they drove, and he said not a couple of hours down the way, water starts hitting the windshield, and then it rained. And it rained and rained and rained and rained and rained. And he said it flooded out farms, it flooded out roads. And he asked the guy, he's like, dude, how do you make it stop? He's like, that's the thing. We could turn it on, but that's the thing the ancestors couldn't figure out, is how to turn it off. And he said, well, what was your secret? What's the dance? Like, I thought it was going to be a whole thing. He said, well, the true secret is I don't ask for rain, because asking for rain means that you don't have it, right? It's declaring the absence of it. He said, so what I did just now is, with everyone's collective energy supporting it, I stood there and felt what the rain would feel like. I smelt the rain. I felt my bare feet in the rain and what it felt like. Even on the dry dirt, it didn't feel dry to me. I was splashing in puddles. And that's what I imagined. And I sent that energy out, and then a couple hours later, it's pouring. And this is a serious drought. I'm very paraphrasing. It's on the Instagram up there, I believe. But it's these kinds of things to where it's like you really start to embody this place much differently. And you see that these drastic measures being taken and forced in your faces, these are what you should be taking, are actually the opposite. And in any indigenous wisdom of any kind, it's always less resistance. It's relaxed. It's not this, oh, I got a hard dick, so I'm gonna go out here and whatever. It's nothing like that. That's the opposite of what is moving forward and serving us moving forward. We have examples, and we could be as upset at the examples for as long as we'd like, but we have examples of all kinds of things that we would like to be different moving forward. And I feel that a great deal of our energy now is constructing the new, not bitching about the old. It's the Abraham Hicks, I'm, happier in this moment than I am of the pain of the past. It's those things. It's that emotional maturity to forgive, forget in a certain capacity, but really it's all within, just to declare to yourself, hey, I'm not going to carry this around anymore because it's weighing me down. And when I'm carrying all this shit, I can't help other people out from the fucking trenches I'm here to help them out of.
It's
That's really
also
what this
magic.
self-healing
He
is. Oh,
he
God,
he
yeah.
he performed magic,
Yeah.
which is not mysterious at all. And like what I did, timeline shifting is magic. There's because you're tapping into a power and choosing from multiple rather than the one that you brought to you subconsciously, or what was just given to you, if you will. You brought it, but what seemed to have just been given to you. And it was also, I was very intentional about what I was doing, because I did not want to attach to the story that that's who they were.
Right.
Okay. And it wasn't just even about, I want my experience to be better. It was more about, I want all of us to have a good day. That was different. So
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
was one of there were a few little magic formulas that came together there that I didn't even realize until now.
Love that.
What's we'll do some favorite just quick timeline jump hacks if you don't mind. My favorite is when you take the gum wrapper and you fold it into a little fork and then you stick it into a light socket. I timeline jump like crazy every time. It's bright and colorful, and I am just in a better version of me. I feel tingly all over. That's how you know it worked.
Perfect.
Well,
Perfect hack.
first of all, if you believed that work, it did, and not just because
Yeah.
you're delusional, but it did. But one of the best timeline jumping hacks is psychedelics and plant medicine.
Come on.
And you don't need it, but they are there, and it's absolutely teaches you how to do that. Because sometimes you don't know how to ride a bike until you get on it. So things like that really help to awaken the magic in you, but also, regardless if you're working with medicine or not, we are medicine. So when you come together in a ritual or a ceremony, especially if there's an altar and you intend on something as a group, that, like at my retreats and my ceremonies, I always have them write letters to their inner child and write a letter to their future self, because we're shedding and we're also creating and timeline shifting. And the clients know that. I'm saying, and I tell them, you better take this seriously because it's going to happen. It's worked for me every single time.
Also, I wanted to show, just to point you out here as well, because again, our community is so talented. Chrystopher has an incredible microdose line, this microdose, as it were. Look at this. You have just the coolest packaging.
That's
I
awesome.
love that.
Yeah.
Want that one.
And you also facilitate. So again, anybody called, reach out.
Yes, I do
with,
journey, like macro experiences, but also microdose is my baby, and it is. I just love sharing it with people, and people are seeing incredible. You can't not see incredible results with these plant medicines, but also they're not all created equal and made equal, so it's the highest quality that. And also,
Shout out
Ben Carroll comes to my retreats. Okay, hashtag winning. Hello.
Amazing.
The sound wizard himself, Gandalf, comes to my retreats.
Oh,
Yes.
he was the guitar player in Raw. I love this guy. Everything about this man. She got introduced to Ben Carroll earlier and talking about all of the things. Just so cool. So more shout outs, and I just love y'all. So I just can't stop bragging on everybody. Just so proud of everybody.
Thank you.
I think, coming back into timeline hacks, one of my favorite ways and how I always see it working out in my space is through movement. So I've grown up dancing. It's just makes me feel amazing. But for me, I'm like, I get barefoot, I get in the earth, I throw in like my headset, and I have all kinds of different playlists. I'm like, am I grieving? Am I releasing? Am I calling in? Am I embodying? Like, what am I doing? And through music, I'm constantly just feeling like the Marvel superhero, right? I'm like, okay, I'm like blasting this one out of the way. I'm sending love here. I'm transmuting this and I'm moving my body through it.
And I literally imagine myself sometimes like skipping and dancing like into another timeline. I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
this isn't working here anymore. We're gonna, you know,
Goodbye.
over here.
I also find, because I do that, I go out in the
Yeah.
woods here and dance and sing and cry and pretend I'm in a a music video. But sometimes I'll notice like we're always moving forward or backward, but like when I start to move my body side to side, there or to certain angles, we're activating these different directions. It
Yes.
awakens like different opportunities, or sometimes I'll find myself dancing in a circle because I'm like coming back on a spiral to
Yep.
something. And I do not think it's an accident that every single person on this call is extremely musical. We don't just love music, like it's something very important to us.
Conduit.
Yeah.
Dancers, actors, musicians, singers, um, the art, and that's also one of the false matrix programs that's happening, is the diminishing of the arts. And again, for all of us as healers have been artists and singers and dancers and actors, and it's just like so beautiful to watch, because of course, because theater and dance and like going to see an orchestra hundreds of years ago, I mean, that would have just mesmerized them, and how healing that would have been, or awakening for some people. And every renaissance that we had was not just about science, it was about the art and the music and the dance. So I think it's really important to note that for people listening, if you are a musician, actor, artist in some way, and spirituality, what we're calling that, is pulling you, you are a healer already. First of all, you are just by existing, many of you, but there's something to that. And I think that this is the next turn of the spiral for the actors and the dancers and the singers, is that the codes are going to come through the voice and the body and the hand movements. And we're creating art on a quantum level and in the energy field, instead of just in the physical density. It's really cool.
Oh, I was in Boston this summer and I was going on a walk and I just like got hit with this like go move. And I was walking by myself to go get Starbucks. And I was like, there's this beautiful like greenery in the middle of the highway, like downtown Boston. And I would just put my little phone stand up and I was like just dancing in the middle, like threw my shoes off. And it was so funny because I had people come up and they were like, doing this and like clapping because I was just like recording myself moving. And then I got, done with it. And this one guy had just stopped and was like watching me. And he's like, I'm sorry if this is like really creepy, but like that was amazing. He's like, That just really made my day." And I was like, well, thanks. It really made my day too. I'm glad we had this experience.
Yeah, how empowering though for everybody
That
watching.
is beautiful.
I saw somebody laying on a walk up to a young lady laying on a yoga mat in the middle of New York City, like on the street corner, just in a bikini, laying on a yoga mat. And she was like, "May I ask just what are you doing?" And she said, "Oh yeah, no problem. It's a vulnerability exercise. I'm just sitting out here because I know I'm not comfortable to do it. I know people are looking at me, and it's fucking weird. And I'm doing it for me to build my confidence. Have a great day." And put her headphones back in and just
I love it.
continued on about her life.
That's cool.
It's
It's
amazing.
amazing. It really is.
Do you have any timeline jumps? And I'd love to talk about tell me the name of your book again, darling. I want to get it pulled up here so that everybody can see it.
Oh, yeah. It's The Melody of Fire.
Melody of
is
Fire.
the
Thank you.
Yeah, music is also a big timeline jump for me. Also, Tantra, sacred sexuality is another like window into another timeline, another dimension. But something recently that I've sort of been tapping into is just starting my day with the mantra that I am operating in my highest timeline, because I know that I can control that. But it's been really amazing to watch other people's response to me when I hold that intention. It's like, oh, well, if I'm in my highest timeline, then you by default are also in that timeline. And so the interactions are much more elevated and just rooted in a more honest and unconditional love space. So I've been trying to start my day out with just like holding that intention.
It's
I love that.
beautiful. You're a Deuceratops. It doesn't sound like you're trying shit. It sounds like you're crushing. And it's amazing. Where's your book located, by the way? I'm not.
You can find it on Amazon.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of Leo energy in this book, but there's a lot of Scorpio energy in this book.
Well, that's what I was going to say for timeline jumping is pleasure, following the
Mm.
body's intuitive wisdom toward pleasure, in this idea that our highest self is constantly in alignment with our highest timeline, and our body is our best guide to that, for me, to her. So whatever feels good in that moment, a lot of times I can get like caught up in like emotional flooding or programming, and it's really difficult to come out of that. A lot of times when I'm wanting to timeline jump, it feels like totally inaccessible. And so going into the body, what would feel good? Oh, I haven't eaten in 10 hours, like food would be really great. And like coming back to, sometimes it ends up being a lot of basic needs stuff, but sometimes it's movement, and sometimes it's to rest and hold space for the parts of me that feel invalid doing that. And yeah, I just, it's like, my body always leads me through pleasure to like the next and the next and the next. It's just such a cool experience.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because Venus is retrograde right now.
Hmm.
Speaking of retrogrades, and we tend to associate Venus with relationships, and that's not actually what she rules.
Hmm.
She rules pleasure and how you find pleasure in things and how you see beauty in things. And she really rules that heart space and that Taurus energy. And Taurus is all about pleasure and sensuality. And you did come into this physical body to feel all those things. And there's such a program going right now, which Venus retrograde helps to rewrite a lot of that if you allow it to, if you quit focusing on just relationships, is that it's okay to feel pleasure and get those dopamine hits. We're so wired to we're told that you've got to work hard, there's got to be a struggle, not every day can be a good day. There's this like program that's running, and as a Venus and Leo that we both are, and Venus is in Leo right now, every day is supposed to be a good day. We're always supposed to love each other and adore each other, and that's what I think we're getting to. I don't think that's delusional, and so I think that's a really great point you brought up.
I also think that the new paradigm that is being built is pleasure. Pleasure leads to profit, whether that is abundance, whether that is
Yes.
enlightenment, whether that is growth, and my business coach, and she's a pleasure coach, Julia Wells. I mean, I am consistently hearing her in my ear of just like, when something is hard, step away from it. Abraham Hicks, it's like when you get stuck, go take a nap, right? Like you're not going to think your way through it. Like you've got to drop into these spaces. And one of the ways that I really undid like my hustle mentality was like, what feels really good for me today? Like, is it getting and grinding out content? Is it eating chocolate cake in the tub? Like, what am I doing? And I was supposed to go work, and I was on a girls trip. I was like, oh, I've got all these things. Like, I'm just going to bring my laptop up to the rooftop pool, and like, I'm just going to, entrepreneur it out today. And I didn't even open my laptop. I was like, no, that's not happening. I'm drinking a pretty sparkly drink, and I'm going to just enjoy my time. And I get a random call from a referral, booked a one-on-one, like $5,000 client. And I was like, I was just in pleasure today. I literally didn't touch my computer. I didn't work. I worked on my pleasure, and it just like ushered it in. And I'm like, that was the perspective shift of like, yep, grounding that in. Like, pleasure is profit.
This is just, all of this information is just incredibly beneficial. And I know you, the audience, just appreciates the shit out of this. I know y'all do. And all of the ways, of course, to find everybody are going to be located down below. I am locating one more thing here to close us out. That's if I've still got it on this computadora, actually. But in the meantime, if you don't mind, everybody hop on around. Megan, we'll start with you if you don't mind. Let everybody know where they can contact you that you prefer most, even though it will be located.
Yes, I would prefer that you contact me most on TikTok, which is at meg.kit. And please be mindful that you're finding the right account. So at meg.kit.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to?
Well, my TikTok has actually been copied so many times that they banned my messaging because I started like messaging people back in the masses that were messaging me like, hey, is this you? I heard I got a free reading. And I was like, yep, nope, definitely not me. And so I'm like copying and pasting this like response about this other reports. So I would love for you guys to follow that baby on TikTok. Make sure, again, it's my account, but I cannot message with you on there, unfortunately. However, Instagram, the Brittany Renee, I can easily get messages and chat. And you guys can also find the BrittanyRenee.com. And that's an easy one too.
Beautiful. Jen, if you don't mind.
So you
No, it's okay.
Okay.
you can find me on Instagram or on TikTok at the Melody of Miss Jen.
Oh.
Jen Fields.
Nice. Chrystopher, thank you.
Yes, my preferred way is through my website, theastromedium.com, or you can, of course, follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the.astromedium. I do not take direct messages seriously, so if you are serious about working with me or contacting me, contact me through my website directly.
Beautiful. I love all of you, and we will end with this beautiful self-plug ad that I created that I'm actually very, very proud of. So I would like to just show this here, and we're just going to end the live directly after this. So again, guys, I can't thank you enough. All the ways to find everyone located down below. How cool was this? Everybody is so awesome. I love you all dearly, and thank you all for spending this time with us. So we will close out on this, and you can find these again at expandingrealitypodcast.com. I thank you and love you all.
The knowledge of sacred ancient tools of enlightenment survive the sands of time, awaiting discovery for those of us in the modern world willing to seek them out. Among them are the mystical mudras, a Sanskrit word meaning seal, mark, or gesture, predominantly found in Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism. Mudras are like yoga for the hands. The poses performed with focus and intent offer the practitioner greater spiritual awareness and personal freedom.
Take a deep breath in and relax.
The Surya Mudra is the best called upon if you find yourself in the mudra for some serious enlightenment. With 2 in the sacral and 1 in the root shoot, the Surya Mudra is perfect for deep cleansing your power portals. Align your chakras. One with all and available now.
Expanding reality.
Now we really appreciate